Hi everybody, it's me, Jennifer Stenhouse from Little Metal Foxes, and I've got some tool tips for you today. I just want to sort of catch up with you guys. Both Helen and Julia are busy today, so you just get me. But I've got some great tips for you. So there are a couple of things I wanted to tell you about. Hi there. And one of them is that we've got a really great class coming up that is with AJ Power, that is jewelry sketching in color. And AJ is an amazing instructor. He is an amazing artist, and one of the things I really appreciate about him, he's a studio mate of mine down the hall here in the building, and I listen to him teach a lot of drawing classes, and he makes it so easy for people to understand and to grasp and to make it a learning process. It's a skill, it's a tool, just like learning how to make chain, just like learning how to solder. And I think a lot of people get really intimidated by drawing, but it is such an essential tool for craftspeople of all kinds to be able to work out your ideas, to get them down on paper so that you can remember them for later. There's always other great tools out in the world to remember things by, like Pinterest or scrapbooking or whatever it is that you need. But to be able to capture your own ideas in a way that you can work through them for design changes, for technical changes, for sort of looking at the piece in a way that you can kind of make some plans before you start cutting metal. It's really helpful to be able to get those ideas down on paper. And if you're working with clients, if you're doing bespoke work, you really kind of need to be able to communicate your ideas with somebody else. And a lot of jewelers aren't trained necessarily in drawing and fine art. They sort of come into the jewelry world through the craft back door, I guess, and want to learn how to do this thing, but learning how to do it really well and make it your own sometimes takes some design skills to be able to do. It's great to be able to sort of get those ideas down on paper. So AJ's class starts on 10/18. I would highly recommend that if you are a little intimidated by drawing, a little intimidated by designing things, I would recommend that you work with him on this because it's kind of fun. He's going to be sketching stuff in color and talking a little bit about color theory and being able to draw your ideas and get them down. So if you're working with stones and all kinds of things like patinas, this will be a great way for you to sort of express those things. But what I wanted to talk to you about is some of my design tools that I use, some of my favorite ones, for being able to get stuff down. And just having something like a simple sketchbook around. This is the one that I usually keep closest to my in my living room. I keep it right next to my chair, so that in the middle of the night, on a weekend, or whenever I happen to be at home, if I have some ideas, I can just sort of work them out or jot them down so I can remember them later. So, and I always go back through this on from the beginning, around like New Year's, kind of see what I've done and where I'm going and what I've accomplished in the year. But it's just sort of ideas and just sort of doodling stuff, doodling things like shapes and alphanumeric stuff, and working on some of the kind of swirly doos and thinking about materials and ideas for sculptures that I'm working on. This one's actually one that I finished, and sometimes I'm just taking notes or writing down things that are inspiration to me that I can go back to and kind of look at later. But I'm always trying to work out just if it was braided or if it was a different shape and what kinds of things are kind of cool. So looking at rings without stones. So just sort of taking notes and getting things down. So a lot of these things I've actually done. I put notes in afterwards after I finished them. Some are ideas for links or earrings that are shapes that I'm working out. But it's nobody usually sees these but me. But kind of working on different stone setting ideas and things that I can do in cuttlefish. catches and just sort of working out shapes. It doesn't have to be any big deal, but if you can pick up a pen and doodle, it's really great just to have something like a simple sketchbook. And I've got sketchbooks going back for for many years, but it's just kind of like, oh my gosh, things that I'm like, oh yeah, I made that. And, just sort of like jotting down little pictures of what I wanted to do, and making notes about things, and just kind of fanciful thoughts. But having a sketchbook is a great idea, and I do like to sketch. I do like to doodle. I found that it's a really good way, like I said, to sort of capture those ideas that can be fleeting. But there are a great number of great design books out there. One of my favorite ones for designing jewelry is The Art of Jewelry Design from Idea to Reality by Elizabeth Oliver. And I love this book because it goes through step by step how you kind of work out your ideas, and starting from things like just sketching and collecting those ideas, whether they're mixed media, or how you kind of put stuff together, thoughts on doing like visual journals, if you don't have the ability to sketch and draw, how you can kind of start to collect those ideas. And this is a really great way too to be able to go back to your thoughts and ideas later, if you because you come back to it with new information. But just being able to collect it and sort of work out your ideas in a way that can continue to inspire you. The other thing that is great about this is because it goes through prototypes and making things like that. But it's really kind of cool, working out through drawing and models and things to create your designs. Not everything you make the first time is going to be great. So how do you work that out? How do you get it going? Some of the tools that I use, besides just pencils, that just like graphite, is I love to have a collection of colored pencils. And if you're working in color, which we mostly are, having something like metallic pencils is awesome. But just a set of Prismacolors or colored pencils can be really great if you're working with stones, or you're working with patinas to sort of get that stuff on there. Nobody can draw a perfect circle or perfect line. Ask any architect, and they will tell you that that's impossible. So if you're working with things like templates, there are templates available to you in all shapes and sizes, and it's really helpful to be able to go in and just draw your circle, or to do a profile picture of what you're doing so you can sort of get that detail down. So you can get really simple oval templates that have markings on them for center and the stone settings, right? Because you've got all these great little lines that give you areas for like a 4-prong setting, a 6-prong setting, an 8-prong setting. So these will give you what's on center. Most templates will give you that kind of, look at that. I'll give you like what's on center there. So you get your different sizes. You can get them in standard or metric, which is really kind of great. So these give you a great way to sort of, work with your ideas, that you can kind of sketch them down and get the shapes the way you want them. So for stone setting stuff, and for illustrating your work, and just capturing your ideas, get some templates. These are great. Some of the templates that I have are from matte wax, because I do some wax carving for stone setting, and which I'll be doing early in the year next year. But these are fantastic templates for being able to capture the stone setting ideas. So if you've got your drawing, sketching out a ring, or you're sketching out your idea, and you want to sort of drop in a nice little pear shape or a marquee, you can use these to sort of do that planning. And they also have areas where you can just drop in the prong sizes, right, and where they're going to be, and locations. And yeah, so templates, they're awesome to have. And that works great in conjunction with books like the How to Create Stone Settings in Metal, Wax, and Wire. So this is really great for sort of demystifying it. And you can get, that's actually the templates that I'm talking about come from the stone setting stuff. But things like this can help you with your designing too. If you know better how you can make the pieces, of course, that's going to help. Using simple things like stuff you can find online. Some clip art works great, to base your inspiration on that. There are all kinds of great patterns and motif books that are out there, and being able to sort of translate those into what you want to do, it's really kind of fun. So you can actually do things like, take your printout and like do additional sketching of where you'd want a stone to be, or how you're going to put your bail on there, and a little bit of tracing paper makes that real easy to sort of see both sides of a piece, get that shape and flip it, and then you can sort of do the back design. So there are lots of easy ways that you can do some simple designing, and simple tools like pencils, templates, and using clip art can be a great way to kind of keep it going. But I really highly recommend the Elizabeth Oliver book. It is fantastic for being able to kind of push those ideas, and definitely being able to have more skills in your belt, under your belt, that are design tools and drawing tools, is going to help you tremendously. Once you sort of understand some of the basics of drawing, you can, it's permanent in your brain. It's like building a skill, and you're building synapses of coordination from your hand to your brain, and any age can learn this and build those synapses. And a lot of art therapists use this with people with dementia and people that have trouble communicating, because you're constantly building those synapses. And by learning a new skill like drawing and being able to bring it into your creative work, is just going to make it that much better. And it's amazing when you can, dream something up in the middle of the night and then go back to it 2 weeks later and go, oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. What a great idea. I totally forgot about that. So I highly recommend that. Just get a sketchbook, keep it near you. And with my drawing students when I was teaching college, I'd make them carry it around with them all the time. I'm like, I don't care if you draw in the bathroom. I don't care if you're drawing, for 10 minutes when you sit down in the morning. That's fine. Have a cup of coffee and sketch what was in your head last night. So, any sketchbook will work. It can be lined, it can be ruled, and sometimes a lined sketchbook is great because you can write notes and keep information. I've got like all kinds of stuff from pieces that I was working on, like forks. You can combine your Xeroxes in, and this is a really great way too to keep track of your cost and your materials. So when you're trying to price a piece later, having something like that can be really helpful. So anyway, but design tools. Oh, one more that's really helpful that I love is just having some index paper around. So index paper is great when you're trying to work out a pattern for your pieces. Instead of like diving right into your metal, having something that's like a paper model to sort of work your layout, to work out your designs, can be really helpful. So I usually have a pack of index cards around just in case, so I can sort of figure out measurements or size or folds or how it's going to be bent together, and see how it works. Some people will like use an adhesive foil to paper like that, so they can sort of see it in metal, and the foil has a little more strength to hold the bend. But that and a little tape is amazing design tools, so I highly recommend that. So yeah, what are your favorite design tools? What are you using in your studio that helps you get your ideas down? What kinds of things have you got around like right now that are pencils or pens that are like your favorite thing to play with? And those are perfectly legitimate. It's like you like the way that it moves, or you like the way that it leaves a line. It feels good in your hand. Those kinds of things are the best things in the world just to sort of sketch and draw with. So I highly recommend that. So again, AJ Power is going to be starting the jewelry sketching in color. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to know how to draw real well. The whole idea is to help you be able to get your ideas down. So that starts on 10/18. So I highly recommend it. In conjunction with that, another great class for design and inspiration and sort of getting your juices flowing is the Studio Sparks class with Julia Lowther. And she's going to send daily sort of ideas to kind of get you moving and get you thinking, kind of get you warmed up and back to the bench that day. And then they'll get together once a week and talk about those ideas. But a couple of other fun classes coming up real quick. And I'll let you get back to your coffee. The 10:23 is kinetic rivets. And kinetic rivets are things like hinges and being able to make things move. And if you go to the website, you can see some of Julia's kinetic hinges. She's got this great little like boxing glove on the end of like a little slinky spring thing, or a little like mechanical tweezers that sort of like boop bop you in the face. but kinetic rivets are a great way to sort of hold things together and make things work, and including things like, you know, pin stems. You know, that hinge on a pin stem is a kinetic rivet. Being able to make things spin or turn or twist. All those things are really helpful for being able to do all kinds of technical stuff with your jewelry. So yes, kinetic rivets is going to be on 10/23. So there's that. The other one that's coming up is sticks and stones. This one's very close to my heart. Again, because if you've got some of the riveting, this is going to help a lot, but we're going to talk about rivets and mixed materials. I've got all kinds of materials that I work with in my own studio, you know, whether it's, you know, found objects and working with things like plastics and steel and natural materials, and trying to get things, found objects of all kinds, feathers, horn, shell, bone, you know, all that stuff are things that I work with in my own studio. And just, you know, doing rivets is one way to join them together. But there's all kinds of information about how to shape them, how to cut them, how to join them, and put them together in a way where they transition in the piece beautifully together as a united piece, rather than being like things stuck on. So yes, Sticks and Stones, and that's coming up on 10:30. So I'm very excited about Sticks and Stones. I love that class because it's just, you know, cutting beads in half and figuring out how to cut glass and reshape your stones, and all kinds of adhesives and rivets and screws and bolts and all kinds of stuff. So all kinds of ways to do that. We've also got a bunch of the stone setting series is coming up again. So alternative stone settings with wire baskets, and rolling mill essentials is coming up again in November. So for those that want to be able to bring a rolling mill into your studio, and you're worried about the affordability, there are lots of options. So I want to talk about those. And you can bring a rolling mill into your studio for only, you know, a couple $100 rather than thousands of dollars. And there are lots of great options out there. And I want to show you what else it can do, how to maintain it, what the options are, where they come from, what you have to do once you get it in your studio. So rolling mill essentials is coming up. And we've got working with gold fill coming up in November as well. And I'll be doing wax carving again for jewelers in January. So take a look at the website. We've got a whole bunch of classes coming up. We've got some guest artists coming in we're real excited about, and we hope that you'll join us. So yeah, so in the comments below, yeah, tell us what your favorite design tools are, and maybe tag us if you post a picture of your sketchbook and what you're doing with your stuff. Because it's always fun to see. One of my favorite tools, this is a good one, somebody asked me about this recently, is this one. I love this tool, and it is the Fat Boy. Get the lead out. And this one, Fat Boy, I love this pencil. So the cool thing is it's a very heavyweight piece of graphite, and this is dynamite for sketching. And just sort of, you know, drawing and working things out. So if you've got, you know, a sketchbook and a pencil, you're good to go. But yeah, I love my Fat Boy. It's awesome. So Fat Boy. But, you know, just mechanical pencils or graphite pencils or whatever you got, go with that. Have fun, and don't be afraid to sort of get your ideas down, right? So you guys have a great afternoon. We're going to be back with more tool tips coming up, and on Tuesdays, and you can always find the tool tips on YouTube on our Little Metal Foxes channel, and make sure you sort of like, ring the bell, subscribe, and share it with others that may be interested in some of the techniques too. So if you missed something before, go back. We've got about 30 of them listed right now, so you can see all kinds of information on tool tips that might help you in your studio. So from me and Julia and Helen at Little Metal Foxes, thanks a lot and have a great week. Mwah! Bye. We'll see you later.